these basic continuous time signals are the signals that we already have seen. For example, u of t, that is unit step function, then r of t, the ramp function, unit ramp rather, then the unit impulse function, the exponentials. Okay, so all these signals are referred to as the basic signals because the signals that are available in nature are the combination of one or two such signals. So let me write that now. Okay, the signals that I'm talking about is what? The basic signals. So we have known what basic signals are all about. So unit step we have seen, then unit impulse we have seen, then unit ramp, exponential signal we have seen, then we have seen sinusoidal signals, then exponentially damped sinusoidal. These are all the signals that we have seen. Okay, and there could be some pulse signals also. Pulses. Okay, so they can be rectangular pulses or triangular pulses. Understand that? So these are basic signals. Fine. We had seen this earlier, but maybe not in that depth which is needed here. So let's take these one by one and see what actually these signals are. And we shall try see these signals from different perspective. Earlier, when we were dealing with these signals, we just saw these signals from the point of view that what happens if I apply Laplace transform on these, right? Now, we're not looking from that perspective. Now, the perspective is different. What is that? Now, before learning these signals, we have seen what are the categories that a signal can belong to. Odd, even, continuous time, discrete time, periodic, non-periodic, random, deterministic, isn't it? Energy, power. So we shall see these signals from that perspective also. If you take unit step, okay, what is unit step? Is it odd, even? Is it periodic or non-periodic? So all that needs to be understood. Okay, so we'll take that as problems. After we understand these signals, we'll take those analysis as problems. Okay, but before that, let's have these signals, okay, in a greater depth. So the first signal that we are considering is unit. Everybody take down this unit step function. And why do we call this signal as function? Why are we doing that? Because signals are functions of time. That's why whether I call it as a function or a signal, it will not make difference. All signals are functions of time. So that's why signals can also be referred to as functions. So the first function that we are seeing is unit impulse function, that is u of t. Fine. Anybody can tell me what is u of t all about? What is unit step function? How can we define it? It can be defined as, see here, everybody. It can be defined as, let me give you that. Defined as u of t, which is equal to 1 for t greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 for t less than 0. So this is your u of t, unit step function. Now, how can we draw this unit step function? This is how we can define it. It's unity for t greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 for t less than 0. Now, can you tell me, is this finite duration signal or infinite duration signal? What is the range of this signal, finite or infinite? See, this should tell you that.
Infinite.
Infinite, from where to where it goes? From
0 to infinity.
Very good. From 0 to infinity, this is 1. So this u of t is 1 from 0 to infinity, and it is 0 from minus infinity to 0. Understand that? Okay. Now, there is little ambiguity when it comes to definition of u of t, but let's not take that in particular. I'll just tell you where could that ambiguity be. See here, when we define, okay, we said u of t is 1 from 0 to infinity. So this dotted path. And here it is 0. Okay, so this is how it should look like, u of t. What is u of t at t equal to 0 means? What would you say? So that is the ambiguity I'm talking about. What is u of t at t equal to 0? It is 0 also, it is 1 also, isn't it? Okay, so when we do that, we take that initial conditions. At t equal to 0 plus, it is 1. At t equal to 0 minus, it is 0, something like that. So let's not get into that analysis of it. Okay, so let's understand that it is 1 at t equal to 0. It becomes 1 rather, or it can, in a loose sense, you can just say at t equal to 0, u of t is 1, and it continues to be 1 from 0 to infinity. Get that point? Now, if this is u of t, how the shifted version of u of t may look like? Okay, if this is u of t, the shifted u of t would look like this. Everybody just take down this. Shifted u of t is, let's say, u of t minus t naught. Okay, so if u of t goes from 0 to infinity, can you tell me where u of t minus t naught is going from? Anybody? From where to where u of t minus t naught is ranging? What is the range of u of t minus t naught?
To infinity.
From where to infinity?
T naught to
T naught to infinity. Very good. So it is shifting u of t to the right. We have seen that when we perform the operations on signals. Okay, we have very clearly seen that if it is minus t naught, it is to the right. If it is plus t naught, it is to the left. So that analysis we have done. So in that sense, okay, so this is shifting u of t to the right by t naught seconds. That means t naught could be anything. Let's generalize that. Okay, see here. So this is what is your u of t minus t naught, and it is 1 from t naught to infinity. So this is your u of t minus t naught. Okay, both u of t and u of t minus t naught are infinite signals. It starts from 0 and goes to infinity. It starts at t naught and goes to infinity, but both are infinite length signals. Understand that? Now, if we perform this, suppose if we perform this, what is going to happen? Suppose you have u of t and you will subtract u of t minus t naught from this. So what is going to happen is the question. See, u of t is there in front of you. U of t minus t naught is there in front of you. Okay. Now, if you subtract this from this. So that means let me call this as the first signal. Let's refer to it as first signal and this as second signal. So what I'm asking you to do is first signal minus the second signal. Okay, so what would that be? Here from 0 to T naught, what is the signal? Suppose T naught is somewhere here, let's say. Suppose this is T naught. Okay, from 0 to T naught, what is the signal? This is 1. I didn't write that. It is 1 from 0 to T naught. And from 0 to T naught, what is this signal? It is 0. So some signal is there, and that signal minus 0 would be the same signal. From where to where? From 0 to T naught. But from T naught onwards, this signal is also 1 and this signal is also 1, which means that 1 minus 1 should get 0. Understand that? So if you operate taking two infinite length signals, we can get a finite length signal. Understand? And these are what are called these can be called as pulses. They can be called as pulses, rectangular pulse. Okay, and what is the equation for this rectangular pulse? It is u of t minus t naught. So this we have practiced. And what is the range of this particular rectangular pulse? The range is 0 to t naught, and it is 0 everywhere else. So understand? So this is how taking two signals, the shifted versions of signals, we can obtain a finite length rectangular pulse. Pulse is finite length. Otherwise, we don't call it as pulse, because pulse will stay there for some duration and then it will go off. That is what is the meaning of pulse is. Understand that? So these are some of the operations so that we should understand. So if you have a pulse like this, rectangular pulse like this, then this can be expressed in terms of unit step or shifted versions of unit step functions. Understand that? Now let's see some of the properties of u of t. Very interesting properties these are. So let's see this now. Properties. Now, can you tell me what is u of t squared? Can you tell me what is u of t squared? Anybody? U of t is a signal which is given here. What happens if you square this signal is the question. Try that. It's very simple mathematics. Very simple mathematics. Now, instead of seeing the numbers, we are trying to see the signals. That's it. The difference between your mathematics and the communication or engineering, for that matter, is just that. In communication engineering, okay, electronics and communication, or communication in particular, okay, we see signals and mathematicians rather see the numbers. That's it. Okay, now see a signal instead of a number. What number would you think would belong to u of t, or what number is something that can relate to u of t? What is that number? See here, 1 is that number, isn't it? Why u of t is 1? What is u of t? If you ask me, I'll say u of t is 1. Yes, the second information that I need to be giving is, yes, it is 1 from 0 to infinity. Okay, but it is 1. U of t is 1 is what is the thing that we should understand. So if it is 1, u squared of t is what? It is 1 square. So tell me in that sense, what is u of t squared gives me? It will still give me u of t only. Understand? So whether you have u of t or you have the shifted version of u of t, say u of t minus t naught. What is u of t minus t naught? See here, what is u of t minus t naught is here. This is also 1, but it is 1 from t naught to infinity. So what happens? Your u of t minus t naught, or you take u of t minus t naught squared, or you take u of t minus t naught, what? To the power 3 cubes. Okay, u of t minus t naught to the power 4 Okay, you just go on doing this. Fine. All the signals are what? It's one. It's as good as you're taking the powers of one. Understand that? So this is going to be one actually. 1 to the power anything would give you 1. So if any power of u of t or the shifted version of u of t is there, okay, then we can say they're all the same. Any powers of u of t same. Okay. Now the third property you say, okay. So if you have a scaled u of t also which is shifted. So tell me which property we need to go with to plot this. If u of t is given, how would you plot u of at minus t naught? So this is scale. So this is scaling and this is shifting. So time scale and time shift. Understand? So which rule we need to use to sketch this if you're asked to? That is precedence rule. Something that we've seen in the last class. Precedence rule is what we need to be going with. Now, instead of going with precedence rule, there is one property of u of t which tells us that this u of at minus t naught is actually equal to u of t minus t naught by a. So this is another property of unit step function. Everybody understand that? Okay. So if you have u of at minus t naught, then it is as good as having u of t minus t naught by a. Okay. Just remember these properties. We can add some more properties to this list. Okay. But that would have relation to some of the other signals that we are seeing. Okay. After this. So we may not list it now itself. Okay. But as and when we see the other signals, okay, so the properties, the list of properties can be made bigger. Fine. So now I'll not take those properties because you need to understand other signals also to add those properties here. Fine. So let's stop this list here and let's move on with the next signal. Okay. So what is that signal? The second signal that we are seeing is unit impulse function. Again and again, I'm telling you, function means it's signal, function of time. Signal is a function of time. That's why I can call it as a function. Okay. Now, this can be defined as, this is what is the symbol of this delta of t, the notation. Okay. So, delta of t is defined as what? Delta of t equal to 0 for t not equal to 0. Okay, so this is equation, this is the first definition, and the second definition says that, integration t ranging from minus infinity to infinity, delta of t dt is actually 1. Okay, so this is the second definition. So both the definition should be given for delta of t. Now, seeing this, can you tell me what is where actually delta of t is existing? Seeing number 1, equation number 1 or definition number 1, can you tell me where actually delta of t exists? Anybody?
It's 0.
At t equal to 0. But this definition is something different, right? Instead of saying what is there at delta of t at t equal to 0, we are seeing what is there at t not equal to 0. We could have said at delta of t, this is there at t equal to 0. Delta of t is this at t equal to 0, we could have told. But we are saying that delta of t is 0 for t not equal to 0, because telling what is delta of t at t equal to 0 is little cumbersome job. Okay, so let's understand that what it means. Okay, so everybody, how we are going to plot delta of t is what we are looking at. Okay, this is y-axis. Fine, this is x-axis. Since it is continuous time signal, this is t. Fine. Now see here. See. So this is what is delta of t, and there is a 1 here. Okay, so this is how delta of t looks like. Now you can ask me, what is delta of t? We understand that delta of t is 0 for t not equal to 0. For t equal to -1, for t equal to -2, for t equal to -3, it's all zeros. For t equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 up to infinity, it's all zeros. That means delta of t is a signal which exists only at t equal to 0. But what is it at t equal to 0? It shows an arrow here. Okay, so that is why they are not maybe telling what is it at t equal to 0. It is unbounded signal at t equal to 0. Unbounded means what? Delta of t is unbounded at t equal to 0. Maybe I had not used this term. It's unbounded means it's infinity, that's it. There is no binding to it. It just keeps growing and goes till infinity at t equal to 0, and everywhere else it is 0. Understand? So that is what is the meaning of the first definition of delta of t. See the second definition now. The second definition is telling us that the area under this impulse, what we are seeing is impulse. Why it is called as unit impulse is this reason. The area under the impulse is 1. Okay, unity area. So number 2, what it is telling us, area under this is 1. The meaning of 1 is this. Okay, the second meaning that you have to see is the area under the impulse is unity. Where is the area under the impulse? What is area? Area is length into breadth or height into width. What is height? Height says it is infinite. What is width? Width is 0. So do you think if width is 0, the area is 0? No. It says area under the impulse is unity. So if you integrate this delta of t ranging from -infinity to +infinity, then it gives you 1, and this 1 is that actually. So 1 beside this arrow tells us that this is area under the impulse, and this arrow tells us that delta of t is unbounded at t equal to 0. Okay, so see here. So the first thing is clear by this arrow is the indication. Understand that arrow is the indication to say that delta of t is infinity or unbounded at t equal to 0. Okay, area under the impulse is unity. Okay, so what is the indication? 1 beside the arrow is the indication. Understand that? So to understand how this area is going to be unity, because of which it is called as unit impulse function. Mind you, why it is called as unit step function? Because at t equal to 0, from t equal to 0 to t equal to infinity, the value of u of t is 1. Okay, that's why it is called as unit. And why it is called as step? It is like a step. See here, this is what is a step. You come here, then you put your step ahead to climb up. Understand that? This is taking one step up. you'll be having another step up. So that is why it is called as step. And why it is called as unit step, the value of that step or the amplitude of that step is 1. That is why it is called as unit step function. Similarly here, why it is called as unit impulse function? Why it is called as unit impulse function? Because it is unity, because area under the impulse is 1. Why it is not called as unit pulse function? Unit pulse. See, pulse means this. This is pulse. And this is impulse, impulsive, instantaneous. It comes and it goes, impulsive. Understand that? So that is why it is called as unit impulse function. Okay, and see, it goes to infinity at t equal to 0, and at the same time it comes to 0. So that is what is impulse function. And in nature, existence of such signals is not possible. Understand? In nature, existence of unit impulse is not possible because this is not practical signal, but theoretically it does wonders. Okay, we'll see how this can be made use of in theory. Understand that? That's why this carries importance. Now let's understand how the area under the impulse is unity. Okay, so to understand area under the impulse is unity, let's approximate what? Delta of t as what? Tall, narrow, rectangular pulse. Tall, narrow, rectangular pulse. Now I don't call it as impulse, I call it as pulse. Okay, so what is that tall, narrow, rectangular pulse? That is this. So everybody see here. So let's consider that as this. So this is very tall, and at the same time, this is narrow also. Okay with that? So we have considered one such rectangular pulse. Fine. And see here, this is what? T minus 2 minus t by 2 plus t by 2, and you have 0 here. Fine. So this is what is the rectangular pulse that we are talking about. And let's call it as gt of t. Fine. Now consider if this is minus t by 2 and this plus t by 2, what is its width? What is its width? Width is t. Okay, if width is t, for the area of this pulse to be unity, okay, see the height. What is supposed to be the height? Anybody? For width is t, okay, for what? The area to be unity. See here, what is area given by? Area is given by height into width. Okay, width is t, it is already understood. I want this area to be 1. Okay, and for that to be 1, this has to be 1 by t. So this is 1 by t. Now what's happening with this? What is the width of this pulse? Width of this pulse is 0, right? If you take this impulse, what is the width of this impulse? The width of this impulse is 0. Okay, and if we say the width t of this pulse is approaching 0, what would happen to this height? Anybody? If this width is approaching 0, that means if t is tending to 0. Okay, then what should happen to 1 by t? 1 by t tends to infinity. That is what is this here. If the width tends to 0, then the height would tend to infinity. That is what this arrow is all about. Is that understood, everybody? Okay, so now let's see the properties of unit function. So everybody understand what is unit impulse function now? So let's understand the properties of unit impulse function. Everybody just copy it down now. Properties. Property number 1. So it is product property. Product property. It tells us what if a signal is multiplied with a unit impulse function. Okay, suppose if you have x of t and you multiply this x of t with delta of t, what would happen? What is this? This is some signal x of t, and this is delta of t, means what? Unit impulse function. Okay, where does it exist? Where does unit impulse function exist? Existing at t equal to 0. Understand that? Since this is existing at t equal to 0, okay, this is given by x of t at evaluated at t equal to 0 into delta of t. So that's why this would become what? X of 0 into delta of t. Okay, why did this happen? Since delta of t exists at t equal to 0. So everybody understand that? So if this is, what is it? That means that is x of t into delta of t is actually x of 0 into delta of t. Okay, similarly, can you tell me what is x of t into delta of t minus t naught? Yeah, can you tell me this? What is this going to be equal to? Try that. Yeah, similarly, if you have x of t into delta of t minus t naught, then it would be given as x of t naught, because here this x of t would be evaluated at t equal to t naught, because this delta of t minus t naught is existing at t naught, t equal to t naught. That's why it is x of t naught into delta of t minus t naught. So what I mean is this. See here, if this is delta of t, okay, then this is what? Delta of t minus t naught. Understand that? Similarly, if you have this, suppose say minus t naught, okay, and this is 1. So what do you think this delta function is? What do you think this delta function is? Now this delta is existing at t equal to minus t naught. So it is shifted to the left by t naught seconds, which means that it is delta of t plus t naught. Everybody understand that? So this is how the things go. The second property that we have to see is, everybody just copy it down. The second property is shifting property. Yes, IFT. Shifting property, and it's not shift, SHIFT. It's not a spelling mistake. Okay, shifting means it's distributed. Understand that? Now, what is this talking about? Now, in the first property, we just saw the multiplication of a signal with delta of t. What if that product is, what if that product is integrated over the range t ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity is the question. Okay, so if you do this, so it is as good as saying it is x of t at t equal to 0. So it is x of 0. So this is what is shifting property. Understand that? So here in product property, we used to write it as x of 0 into delta of t, but that delta of t would be missing here. We are just able to extract one sample of this x of t, which is existing at t equal to 0. That's why it is shift. We are distributing the signal. We pluck one part of the signal which is existing at t equal to 0. That is what is the meaning of the shifting property. We just pluck one sample of x of t which exists at t equal to 0. Okay, so that is what is x of 0 is. And why we are plucking the component existing at t equal to 0? Because it is being multiplied by delta of t. Understand that? And since delta of t is existing at t equal to 0, we are plucking x of 0 from x of t. Okay, similarly, can you tell me what happens here? Similarly, if you have this x of t into delta of t plus t naught, suppose, what do you think this is going to be equal to? Just see that properly and tell me what should this be equal to? Which component, which sample of x of t we are plucking or separating from x
minus
of
t naught.
X of minus t naught. Very good. So that sample we will separate. How? Because this tells us that we need to evaluate x of t at t equal to minus t naught, because delta of t plus t naught exists at t equal to minus t naught. This exists at t equal to minus t naught. That's why x of t needs to be evaluated at t equal to minus t naught. So that means what we get is x of minus t naught. So this is what is the meaning of this shifting property, SIFT. Distributing or separating the samples of a signal. Fine. So that is what we are doing. Okay with that. Now see, everybody just understand this. Okay. Now I'll do this. Just observe very important thing. I'm integrating this. Let me give you the integration limits later on. X of t delta of t minus 10 dt. Okay. Now I'll say the integration limits are from minus 5 to plus 5. Now see this, very important. Where is delta of t minus t naught existing? Where is delta of t minus t naught existing?
At t.
At t equal to?
At t equal to 10.
Yes, exists at t equal to 10. Okay, but we are evaluating this product. We are integrating this product from where to where? From minus 5 to plus 5. Do you think in this integration range this comes? No, right? Because this delta function is existing at t equal to 10. This delta function is existing at t equal to 10, but we are evaluating this product in a range minus 5 to plus 5. That's why this is going to be 0. Everybody understand this point? We are multiplying x of t by delta of t minus t naught. Sorry, t minus 10. Okay, t minus 10, delta of t minus 10 actually exists at where t equal to 10, but we are evaluating this from -5 to +5. That means this is not in the range of evaluation. This is 0. Since we should, what reason will give? Since delta of t minus 10 is not in the range of integration. Range of integration, it happens to be 0. Everybody understand this point? So this is what is called as shifting property. Fine. Now let's see the time scale property. Okay, the third property is time scale property. You understand what is time scaling because we have seen that in operations on signals. Okay, so time scale property. What is it telling you? It tells you that if you have delta of AT, see the time needs to be scaled. So that's why the T is being multiplied by a number A. Okay, so if it is this, then it is writing as good as 1 by A into delta of T. So this is called as time scale property. Okay, and where A is greater than 0. Understand this? So this is what one should understand. Time scale property. If you have delta of AT, then it is 1 by A into delta of T. Understand? So collectively, let's understand. Suppose if you are asked to what? If you are asked to list the properties of delta function. See here, this impulse function is also called as delta function. Unit impulse function is also called as delta function. Fine. So this delta function, suppose if you're asked to list the properties of delta function, then you do not have to give all these details. Okay, you cannot say why it has to be that, how the area under the impulse. You do not have to say all that. Okay, so let's just summarize the properties like this. Summary of the properties or list. Suppose if you're asked to list the properties of delta of t, then what you will do is this. Everybody just copy it down. So what we do is this. The first property that we are seeing is what? Integration of integration from minus infinity to plus infinity x of t into delta of t is delta of t dt is x of 0. Sorry. So what did I take? Sorry, let me give you the area under the impulse as the first one. So this is, if you integrate delta of t over the range minus infinity to plus infinity, it is 1. Okay, and if there is a number k into delta of t, then this is actually equal to k. Everybody understand that? See, beside this delta of t, it is as good as saying 1 dot delta of t, 1 into delta of t, then it is 1. If you have k into delta of t, then it is k. So area under the impulse is 1 here. Here area under the impulse is k because there is k beside delta of t. Understand that? Now the product property. Okay, if you have x of t and if you multiply that x of t by delta of t, you will have x of 0 into delta of t by product property. Understand? Now by shifting property, if you integrate this from minus infinity to plus infinity, then x of t dot delta of t. Okay, if you are integrating with respect to t over minus infinity to plus infinity, then it is given as x of 0. the shifting property. Understand that? So these are so again 3 and 4 properties can be seen with this shifted delta function. Okay, so if it is x of t into delta of t minus t naught, then it is x of t naught into delta of t minus t naught. Okay, similarly, if you integrate this product over the range minus infinity to plus infinity, then this would be what? X of t naught. Fine. And the last one, the seventh one, we can write as delta of at, the time scale property is actually 1 by a into delta of t. Fine. And there is another one which we have not discussed. Okay, so that is delta of t can be obtained when you differentiate u of t with respect to t. So this you need to understand. If you differentiate u of t with respect to t, then we'll get delta of t. Understand this, everybody? Right. So this is what are the properties that we can think of. Now let's go on with the ramp function. So these are the properties that you can list if you're asked to list the properties of delta of t. Fine. So this tells us the area under the impulse is 1. This tells us the area under the impulse is k because there is k written beside delta of k. Okay. This is product property. This is shifting property. This is product and shifting property with shifted versions of delta of t. Okay. This is time scale property, and this is another property which tells us that if you differentiate the unit step function, you will get the unit impulse function. Understand that? So let's take the third signal, that is unit ramp function. This also we have seen. Okay, and this is called as R of t. Fine. Now, what is R of t defined as? Okay, so let's take that. R of t can be defined as R of t, the unit ramp function, can be defined as R of t equal to t. It is t for t greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 for t less than 0. This is what unit ramp function is. Or this can even be written as, or R of t can even be written as R of t equal to t into u of t. So whether you write this or this, both mean the same. Why? See here, understand this. If u of t is alone, you understand what I mean? If u of t is alone, so suppose if you have x of t equal to u of t, then it is unit step function. Okay. Suppose if this u of t is there with another function of t. See, this u of t is alone, isn't it? If this is alone, this is unit step function. If it is there with another function of t, u of t anyways is a function of t, and this is there with another function of t. Okay, if that is happening, then this u of t is defining the range of this t. Okay, u of t tells us that this indicates u of t indicates the range, indicates the range is 0 to infinity. So that means if t is there, if you just write t, we don't know it is t from where to where. We need to say like this. It is t from t greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 from t less than 0. So this range needs to be told. Now, if you multiply this t by u of t, it indicates that this t is ranging from 0 to infinity. Understand that? So you have to be little careful. This u of t, if it is alone, it is a signal. If it is there with another function of t, then it is defining the range of that function of t with which this is there. Fine. So how can we plot this? How can I plot this? Everybody just see here. So we have x-axis as time, and this is r of t. And what is r of t? R of t is t at t equal to 0. So that means at 0 it is 0. At 1 it is 1. At 2 it is 2. At 3 it is 3. At 4 it is 4. And it just goes on and on and on. Okay, it just goes on and on and on. You can just put dots. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So this is what is a ramp. And why it is called as unit ramp? Why it is called as unit ramp? Because see here, if you take the slope of this, so this is delta y and this is delta x. What is delta x? Delta x is also 1 and delta y is also 1. So what is slope? Slope is given by delta y by delta x, and that is unity. So this is unity slope. Unity slope. Since it is having slope equal to 1, it is called as unit ramp function. Understand that? Why it is called as unit impulse function? Because area under the impulse is unity. That's why this is called as unit impulse function. Why it is called as unit step? Because that step height is 1. Understand that? So why the unit, the term unit should be associated with these is the reason you should understand. Okay, unit step, unit impulse, okay, unit ramp. Here we call this as unit ramp because the slope of this ramp is unity. Understand that point? Now let's see another signal. What is that signal? That signal is exponential signal. Understand that? So here in ramp signal, you can just see one of the properties which says that, okay, you should understand the property. The property is one property that we can note here is, what is that? You can obtain R of t if you, what? If you differentiate, sorry, you can obtain U of t rather. Let me write that properly. Actually, you can obtain U of t if you differentiate R of t with respect to t. The change is constant. The change is constant. Understand that? The change is constant. R of t is not constant, but the change is constant. So that's why we'll get a constant entity, that is U of t. U of t is also is a constant actually. Understand that? So this is d dt. So what we can say, differentiation of a ramp with respect to t will give us the unit step function. So let's take the fourth signal, and that is exponential signal. Exponential signal. Understand this?